Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Community Redevelopment Workshop. We'll discuss accomplishments and priorities. This time I will introduce our city manager, Mr. Fiacher, and allow him to frame the meeting for us.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. As you recall, a few months ago, discussions were held in reference to the CRA, what has been accomplished, what is still left to be done. And also there were comments from select commissioners about understanding what has been accomplished, what are the priorities, and if anything should change. And so Mr. Thomas and his team has put together a very thorough booklet. The booklet provides information on the CRA, the Florida statutes, the CRA maps, the different master plans, but also projects that have been done throughout the state of Florida.
Sorry.
And so Mr. Thomas has a large amount of slides. Hopefully he's pulling them down and really to identify the major projects and accomplishments, and then entertain any questions. I know that Mr. Thomas and his team have met individually with some commissioners, and if that is still the desire of others to meet after this, he'll be more than happy to set it up with his team. So, Mr. Thomas, I'll let you proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Fiacher. Mayor, City Commissioners, I'm Ken Thomas, Redevelopment Director. Here with my team, Redevelopment team. They're here to help with the presentation, as well as offering help on any questions that you may have. I know this is a Monday night workshop, so I'm going to try to be quick. All the slides that I have, I'm going to try to run through them as quick as possible. This presentation has about 4 parts. The first part is identifying the many things that are going on in Daytona Beach. The second part is the accomplishments and the CRA contribution. The third part is what we're doing and what we plan to do as it relates to priorities. And the last part is opportunities that we want you all to consider. So what you see here is a kaleidoscope with young kids who are in the community. And we vision, or we at least refer ourselves as like a kaleidoscope, the CRA. There are different aspects of what we're doing and involved with, but all of this is interconnected like the kaleidoscope, and all of the visuals are connected just as well. So in the next 34 days, our city will be host to the Daytona 500. Last year, there was close to about 200,000 visitors that were in attendance. They'd visit Daytona 1, Tanger outlets to enjoy our great city. But one thing I want to say tonight that distinguished Daytona Beach, and many of you all might have thought about it or didn't think about it, but it is a distinguishing factor that represents Daytona Beach that no other city, no other community, no other district, no other county, state, or country can claim as we can. And that is, we are the home of the world's most famous beach. So that is a distinguished factor. You know, wherever you go, from Argentina to Dubai, we're the only community that can claim that we're the world's most famous beach. While at the world's most famous beach, our visitors will enjoy the Ocean Walk, Joe's Crab Shack, and places like the aquarium. We not only offer venues, but we're also home to the headquarters to one of the largest insurance companies in the United States, and that's Brown & Brown. Daytona Beach has highly skilled labor. Brown & Brown is in our highly skilled labor force in the medical field. B. Brown and Amazon is in the distribution force, and they are offering a number of jobs throughout our community. In fact, over the next several years, there's going to be several hundred engineer and high-paying jobs available right here in Daytona Beach, with the partnership with Boeing and other industries that will be coming here offering those high-paying jobs. So this will necessitate our city to have available housing, workforce housing, market rate housing, within our community. Throughout my last several years being here with the city of Daytona Beach, I've listened in the commission meeting. I've heard the mayor say it. I heard some of the commissioners have said, if you don't promote yourself, don't expect anyone else to do it. So please indulge me just for a few minutes. I'm going to go through these slides as quick as possible, but these are some accomplishments and contributions by the CRA. Breakers Park, the funding there was $10 million. The CRA committed over $3.8 million. Streetscape improvements, Cypress Street Aquatic Center, as well as framework, where we donated land, and we got a $60,000 tax abatement that we're providing for that project. Donation of lots. We recently, last year, donated over 30 lots for our first-time home buyers program. We've made over $2.7 million of land acquisitions. The last several hurricanes, we've given out $3 million to our residents and business owners, and that's been with the help of our local Delta Sigma Theta sorority, our finance department, two of our local nonprofits, and our legal department have all worked together to provide those resources. We've also provided access to capital to some of our small businesses, working with code enforcement. And of course, we had 2 students that came forth last year with our collaboration with Embry-Riddle. Over $1 million, of course, have been provided for redevelopment grants by our CRA. We have over $7.5 million for the downtown 400 Beach project at Framework. Orange Avenue, if you don't know it or not, we spent about $80,000 recently, just last year, improving the Orange Avenue Business Enterprise Center. And with the help of our Business Enterprise Department, all of those office units are all occupied, and everybody's paying rent and actually turning a profit. The business triage program, was born out of our business summit from last year. So the folks that came to the summit now needed some training and technical assistance, and we're providing $50,000 to the business triage technical assistance consultant. And of course, all events that CRA has provided, we've had over 100 events that we've provided funding for. If you drive down Nova Road, Bartley Road community, and if you look there, if you're going, I guess, north on Nova from Dr. Bethune Boulevard, we provided some new fencing with the residential community there. We actually worked with someone locally in the community who went out and knocked on the doors and asked those residents, would you be willing to replace your fence? Because people drive throughout our community and you see the old wooden fences falling down and it didn't look good, and it leads right to our Cherry Center. So we haven't gotten them all, but majority of them, we have paid to have those fences repaired and replaced along Nova Road. We've done some text amendments along ISB to provide, accommodate at least the commercial and housing development. Sidewalk Cafe has been approved. Staff has knocked on every door on Beach Street to encourage them to sign up for the Sidewalk Cafe agreement, and we've also offered our grant to pay for the improvements that are needed. So they won't be doing it just out of their pocket. We have established a grant that will help them. And of course, we continue to partner with the chamber. We've assisted, of course, the Aquatic Center at Campbell, Dickerson. As you see the EV charges out front, CRA paid for EV charges out here at City Hall, downtown, as well as in Midtown. Here's the business summit that I referred to earlier, $25,000 that we provided for the business summit. And I can tell you that there were a number of first phase and second phase companies that really attributed, or at least will help doing the business summit, who have been calling us, who have been working with us since the business summit last year. And they continue to work with us so that we can scale their business. And that's the purpose, was to get them excited about either opening their business or scaling their business. And so the summit has been a success for us, and I know staff is working on the second annual. East ISB underground utilities, we provided $1.5 million for that project. The choice neighborhoods, we actually provided $250,000 cash, but in-kind services has gone to about $300,000. And hopefully, when the application is submitted late March, sometime in May, late March, early April, we're hoping that we qualify for the implementation grant. We hope that that funding will turn into a $40 million funding to implement the grant for choice neighborhoods. The mural grants, we've run out of money. We spent $40,000 last year. And as you can see throughout the city, it's been a really increase, and it's contributed to those businesses that took advantage of the murals. The money that we spend in our CRAs, what we've decided to do is place some signage out front to let the community know we contributed CRA funding. We don't want to clutter the area, but we at least need to let people know that CRA provided funding for either a project or a program or a service. Funding for the Coquina Arch repair, that was $878,000. Main Street amusement signage repair. And the Esplanade, that $18 million, is over the life of the CRA. And the CRA sunsets in 2036. So by that time, based on our allocation that we provide for the Esplanade every year, we would have spent over $18 million. Database, we completed that last year for Midtown businesses. And all these things that we're doing, it really helps with economic development, especially this database. This database provides information for us and for the business owners, so that we needed to send out surveys to the business owners. We have a database of every business in Midtown. If you need that information, we can provide it to you. We implemented a pilot program, security pilot program. That's been going very well. We get calls from local businesses who's concerned about. We got one just last week about a skateboarder riding down Beach Street on the sidewalk, and also our security program. We provide information to people if they're looking and want to know what's happening in our community. We give them pamphlets so that they can hand out. And in Midtown, close to $500,000 that we have waived the permit fees to increase economic development in the area. And all of these pictures that you see here is Orange Avenue, MLK, North Beach streetscape, Orange Avenue Bridge, ISB Bridge. Those are all improvements that the CRA contributed. So those are things that we've done, but there is a whole lot more to do. And I'll slow it down a little bit. I want to spend a little bit more time going through these. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free. But these are priorities that we have identified, as well as projects that we're working on today and projects that we plan to start because it's vital to the development of this city, of our CRA. And the first item is underground utilities. Commissioner Parris and Public Works, the city manager, we met with Florida Power and Light to talk about undergrounding some of our utilities in certain areas. It's a big apple, it's a large elephant to bite, but you should only try to, bite it in small bites. And so what Florida Power and Light representative asked us to do was create a phase-in plan in order to take down all of the underground utility areas that we have identified. There's a lot on Ridgewood. There are still some on certain parts of ISB and other areas that we need to identify, but staff is going to work with Public Works on a phasing project so we can tackle that. It just makes for better maintenance. It reduces the outages, so it's a good thing to do to have underground utilities. And we believe that cost will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 million or $2 million per mile. MLK and Dr. Bethune Boulevard, as well as Main Street, will have a streetscape plan, a conceptual plan to you. I would say probably sometime during the summer. We have a landscape architect firm that we've already hired, already in place, already working on a streetscape plan for those particular areas. And once it's done, we're going to bring it to you all for consideration. Property acquisitions, there's quite a bit of property throughout the CRA that we need to acquire, and we think over the next several years that could equate to about $10 million. Ridgewood beautification acquisition. Right now in the Ridgewood corridor, there's a number of properties that are dilapidated, and either the public will use public dollars to acquire some of those properties to create economic development. And we look at ways that we can improve Ridgewood. One of the things that we want to talk about tonight in the opportunities section is expanding our CRA boundaries to include more of Ridgewood Avenue. Ridgewood going south down to Belleville, and Ridgewood up to Mason Avenue. And going as far as on Mason Avenue as well, encompassing Mason Avenue up to Clyde Morris. And this is not creating a new CRA, it's just expanding our downtown Blue Road CRA to include those areas on Ridgewood as well as Mason Avenue. Streets and sidewalks team. The streets and sidewalks team, there is an examples in your 3-ring binder of other cities who have taken advantage of the streets and sidewalks team, and basically they help with cleanup of those areas that are impacted by a lot of trash and debris. You can use this sidewalk team to go around and pick up trash. They also cut vacant lots that are in your city, in your district. That particular streets and sidewalk team, they just go around and they really do a good job of making sure your area, your neighborhood is clean, as well as handing out information too as well. Boardwalk improvements. Right now, the boardwalk sort of ends there at Breakers Park. We're hoping that we can expand the boardwalk improvements down to Harvey. We believe that is somewhere in the neighborhood about $4 million because the Mexican restaurant is planning on building their restaurant there, and we want to get the boardwalk down to the new restaurant. Boardwalk activities. Right now, we contribute somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000, and we hope that we can continue to do that for the next coming years. Four Corners roundabout, downtown Blue Road. We've talked about the Beach Street, the Blue Road, the Fairview area. We have some new businesses coming in there, but there is certainly a need for us to create this Four Corners so that it is more pedestrian friendly. It has better traffic flow. It allows us to have more entertainment and allow people to also be willing to drive in that area because we need to activate that Blue Road area. And one of the things I think we need to do in order to do that, we need to create that roundabout. And the cost really for acquisition as well as construction is between $3 and $8 million. That roundabout would also, another roundabout would also be at MMB. We're proposing one in MMB, Dr. Bethune Boulevard, and Lincoln. A parking study is already underway. We've hired someone, and they're doing a parking study on Main Street. We don't know what the results are. We're hoping that they'll tell us that we have enough parking, but that's wishful thinking, I believe. And whatever comes out of that parking study, we would have to take a look at if we're going to build a garage or provide more surface parking somewhere. Transit solution, that RFP was done. We tabulated all the results, and now, well, we haven't tabulated the results, but our review team is going to meet over the next 45 days and bring to you a recommendation to hire someone to do a ride share program in our CRAs. And as well, if we decide to go outside of our CRAs, we'll be looking for some general fund money to support that. While the consultants are looking at Main Street, streetscape improvements, as well as Dr. Bethune streetscape improvements, we're also asked them to look at walking trails, because we want to connect the walking trails that are outside of our city or outside of our community. We want to connect those trails to our community so that we can have a pedestrian walkways and some pedestrian interconnected community here in Daytona Beach. Kiosks. We have been looking at about 4 kiosks, some in Midtown, 2 in Main Street, and some others in downtown. The cost for a kiosk is typically, for the hardware, is about $65,000. However, there is a nationally known kiosk company that will provide you with the hardware for free and the content. But your community has to qualify in order for them to locate their kiosks in your community. And qualify meaning that, will they get a return on their investment? They have them in Tampa, they have them in Miami, they have them all over the place in the state of Florida. And we thought we had a good chance of being selected. And last week, Friday, they told us that they're going to do some more evaluation and get back with us the second quarter of this year. So probably sometime in June, second or third quarter, we may hear something that they've hopefully selected our community, because I think the best price would be, or at least the others in Tampa and Miami and the others, there was a very nice kiosk. I've used them. City managers use them when he's been up north in certain communities. They are nationally known, and they have some of the best kiosks throughout the United States. And we would love to go with that company. Small Business Hub, we talked a little about providing technical assistance. Right now, we're just trying to find locations and places that we can provide technical assistance to our small businesses. But at some point, we need to partner with a organization to provide, or institution to provide a small business hub. And we've set aside $500,000 of our CRA funding to create that partnership. Any questions thus far? I'm going fast, but I understand that you all got other obligations, and I don't want to hold you here tonight. But if you have any questions, I'll feel free to answer any of them. Essential Housing Trust Fund, the ordinance has already been passed. Of course, it set up the trust fund, but the next thing that we need to do is approve the linkage nexus study. And so that we can have a dedicated revenue source. We've allocated $250,000 for the trust fund, but we need a dedicated revenue source if we're going to implement an essential housing fund here in the city. Monument signs on Ridgewood, welcome to Daytona Beach. We're proposing that if you ride down Ridgewood now, there's really no signs indicating, welcome to Daytona Beach, or at least we want to put in some really nice monument signs on Ridgewood. Mixed use and multifamily development incentives to encourage more mixed use development, mixed use and also multi-income or mixed income development in our CRAs. We're proposing to set aside $3.5 million. Now, this is not for 1 year, but this will be for a number of years that we would have this funding available to provide for redevelopment in our areas. Downtown Blue Road CRA expansion. I mentioned earlier about Ridgewood. We're proposing that we expand our boundaries, our downtown boundaries, in particular on Ridgewood, because Ridgewood is a major artery in our city, as well as Mason Avenue. And we may not have all the resources to tackle Ridgewood or to tackle Mason, but we'll have some eyes and ears on if we expand our boundaries to include Ridgewood and Mason up to Clyde Morris and Ridgewood going south down to Belleville and at the intersection of Mason. So that particular expansion study will probably cost in the neighborhood of $125,000.
Question?
I have a question. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. I was reading all this. There was a lot to read, but I noticed this was all other cities, so I didn't really have to concentrate. And boy, cities did some great jobs with this, the CRAs. And thanks for giving all this information. I was reading something with the Blue, a study was done on Blue Road and North B Street and Main Street. And the study was done November 1981, and then another blight study was done in 1986, and then it was amended August 4th, 2010, and a lot of unsanitary and unsafe conditions. Have we done another study since 2010, since it's been amended?
No.
Okay,
we haven't.
because I took a drive down there today and actually went down Blue, went down North B Street, which I believe that's going to be repaved. The sidewalks are unbelievable too. A lot of code violations. I even went to Sickler. I actually walk in there, and I'm usually not scared. I actually felt very unsafe at that park. I mean, the stuff that was going on, there's fire pits. Actually, you could go, even the asphalt is falling into the river. You could actually park your car and actually go into the river. I mean, it's actually, took a lot of pictures.
Under the bridge.
To the bridge,
Yes, yes.
I took a lot of pictures, and I have it on a thumb drive, which I will give to you.
Okay.
It's actually very dangerous over there, and there was like a mattress that in a parking lot that's been stuck to the parking lot cement for probably at least 5 years. I
Wow.
mean, it's like embedded in there. I think we need to do some work over in that area before we start talking about my personal opinion expanding that area, because it looks like we haven't done nothing over there in years.
Okay.
And if the study hasn't been done since 2010,
So-
that's a long time.
Commissioner and members of the City Commission and the mayor, I want to give context for those blight studies. The Florida statutes, the Community Redevelopment Act, specifically requires a local government to do a blight study that meets certain statutory standards in order to create the powers of community redevelopment that the statute provides. Doesn't mean we couldn't do more study activity or more review of those kind of things, but there's no legal requirement that we do it, let alone with the formality, level of formality that was done in order to set up each of the community redevelopment areas.
Right. And I'm not even saying that we need another study. I mean, you can drive through there and tell what's wrong.
Yeah.
But back in 1981, 1986, and then the amendment in 2010, it says it's unsanitary and unsafe
Right.
conditions in this that you gave us.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't even think we need a study. You could just drive by and see
Yeah,
what's going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
I see, even cardboard houses.
Okay. Right.
Commissioner, help me, where is this? Blue and Sickler Park, right underneath the bridge.
Mason.
And North Beach Street.
Underneath the Seabreeze Bridge?
Correct.
Mhm.
But North Beach Street, the sidewalks,
Yeah.
you have a piece of sidewalk, then no sidewalk, or it's all crumbled.
Right.
The buildings, it's pretty bad.
Commissioner, you said that was today?
That was today rode there, yes. I mean, take a drive down Ballou and North Beach Street and Sickler. You will be surprised.
But
when
I'm saying
you're-
underneath I'm saying the actual park.
The
underneath
actual park. I walk the park and you go to, well, the asphalt is crumbling into the river.
Yeah, they're doing work
Yeah,
out there.
you walk the trail all the way back to the back. You see a fire pit someone made right there. You see all these bricks that are just laid all over the place in the sidewalk. Trash everywhere. Actually, I saw a drug deal going down when I was there. It actually took off afterwards and taking some pictures. But it is so bad over there. And I usually do not get nervous walking anywhere by myself and it's broad daylight. I left. I mean, it is really bad over there. I mean, you look at the bridge, I don't even know what, one of the columns,
Mhm.
there's a open thing at the very top, and I don't even know why it's open underneath that bridge. I mean, there's
Mhm.
graffiti, it's pretty bad.
We'll
Okay,
take a look at it.
so your suggestion, obviously, is something I'm gonna go and look at myself,
Yes.
Mhm.
just so I have a context, Okay.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Cantor, I want to say one thing about Ballou Road. Unfortunately for Ballou Road, the revenues have been really slow. And I think just recently, we've probably generated $250,000, I believe. It hasn't been a lot to do a full project. I think we can do, Public Works, we can do some sidewalk things. And, once you do a sidewalk from one block to the next, and, all the money is depleted. And that's just Ballou Road.
Right.
But Ballou Road, definitely, we staff and we talked about how can we activate Ballou Road. And we don't need to do a lot of retail there. It needs to be industrial, but it needs to be a cleaner, more quality industrial area.
Definitely cleaner. North
Mhm.
Beach Street is it's
Yeah,
probably
that's
worse.
different, yes.
It's probably worse than Ballou. So actually, I'd rather not expand personally till we fix up that area because I couldn't believe
Well,
I haven't drove down that area for a long time.
Well-
So it was pretty a sight to see.
well, let me say one thing about expanding. So if you expand your areas it allows you to generate more revenue. Doesn't mean that we're gonna take that increased revenue and go to that new area and start spending money there. It may generate enough money that we could really do some serious work in Ballou Road first, then move to that new area that we have expanded to. Because right now, Ballou Road, if you look at the map,
It's not.
it doesn't have a lot of upside as it relates to property values increasing and putting enough money in the coffers. We'll keep waiting the next 10 years, we may get to $400,000 a year, maybe.
And whose retention pond is that by the bridge? Is that state or us?
The ownership status of that pond is undetermined.
Okay, because the retention pond on the other side, I believe that's Holly Hill. Which if you look on the other side where Holly Hill limit is, it's actually pretty nice. But I advise everyone to go take a drive down North Beach Street in Ballou and Sickler and get out at Sickler Park and walk that area. Now I see why we've gotten a lot of complaints. I mean, really go take a look.
And Holly Hill is doing a beautification on the other side.
Yes,
at
and
their
it's-
city.
and it's
They're
actually
meeting
nice.
our,
And
meeting to our
actually-
city limits.
Even our sign is completely upside down. I took a picture of it. I'm like, it was actually bolted upside down. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone took it off and turned it upside down.
So
but
for clarification from me, when you're saying the retention pond, is this what the little bridge goes over? Is that,
it's
what is
next
that?
to it.
Or there's a pond next to
Next
that?
to it, yes.
Mm.
And
And,
there's a lot of stuff in it.
and Kim, when you spoke of the Four Corners earlier, were you talking about right there at the Seabreeze Bridge?
Yes,
When you
at
talked about-
Fairview Beach It's
No,
Fairview
Fairview.
Beach
Yeah.
and Baloo, all in that same area. Where the fishing hole is.
Okay,
Yes,
right there.
That whole
Okay,
area is
okay.
what we're
Because
calling
I was gonna
Four
say at the
Corners.
bottom of that bridge, there used to be a roundabout,
Yeah.
remember? And that Great Park Seafood Restaurant was
yeah.
down there? But
Yeah.
okay, you're talking about a little
Yeah,
bit
so
further.
we need to do that whole little intersection in there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mhm.
Okay.
And just to be clear, the Sickler Park was heavily damaged by the storm, and staff is working on a major revitalization of that particular park. If you talk with Andy and David Waller, they'll probably tell you it was one of the good parts. And I'm just telling you, that's where I go to lunch. So I know they had major storm issues that they're working on. And Andy, do you know what's the programming for that park? Okay.
Okay, and that might be from the asphalt, but actually get out there and walk that path all the way back. That's not storm damage.
Okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I did walk it.
You walked
To
it
the
too,
end.
yeah.
But the thing is, I did find out that it was because of the storm damage, because all the pavers are out. So they put the bricks, whatever they could save, to one side, so we wouldn't have to repurchase them. But we have 277,000 that we should be collecting for Baloo Road towards the CRA. Is there any way that we could make a plan for that money? What could be allocated to do something? So even talking about the bridge, they have some columns, maybe we could do like an art mural, a living wall or something on the bridge, because it's not a lot of money. And like you said, if we wait, maybe have $400,000 by who knows when. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate things. Maybe we could do something simpler, smaller projects that we could actually put down on paper, actualize, visualize, and then see what happens. Would that be something everybody be interested in doing?
I would agree with you.
Agree with what in terms of a mural? Because I know it's not a lot of money, but which one is more important? A mural or a sidewalk?
Sidewalk.
But what are
That's
we
my
gonna get
point.
for 277,000?
You may get a block, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying we have to say which one is really most important. And I don't know. I haven't looked at it, I'm gonna take a closer look for my own field.
Question I have on the
Say-
North Beach Street, that we're gonna be resurfacing that road. Now, the sidewalks, is that included?
Yeah, all the way from where
On-
we ended.
Okay, on
I
the
think
east and the
yep,
west?
we're on the east, we're going all the way north.
Okay, because, yeah, those are pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of code violations on both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
spend a lot of time. on
Yes.
those.
Businesses,
Yeah.
yeah,
businesses,
yes, it's not
So-
really quality. Yeah, but and so we've talked to some of the business owners about taking advantage of our grants. You know, we don't have a lot to offer, but at least clean up the exterior while we are working with Public Works to get more sidewalks. And of course, they did the underground improvements here recently, just last year. But we need to beautify Baloo Road and so that you can get more traction there.
Who owns the trailer park?
That is the organization that's building the affordable housing.
Well, they got a lot of code going on there too. And then,
That's all.
Wait, did
right,
They
Did you
didn't
say-
get the grant.
But do they own
remember
that
that.
property? They don't own that property.
It's adjacent to.
Yes.
It's adjacent
Yeah,
to
they don't own
the
people
park.
building the,
they don't own that.
they don't own
Okay.
that park.
And then
Yeah.
across from the trailer park, not on North Beach, but on Baloo, it's an empty building that's like boarded up and windows. And then actually next to the trailer park, there's like windows that are broken, installation all over the floor. I'm not sure what building, you just have to take a walk. It's bad.
Yeah, that's outside our CRA.
Yeah, it's out of the
Yeah.
CRA. I'm
Yeah, it's
familiar with
outside of our
that.
CRA. But that's, you
You're
know, when
telling
you
me
drive down it,
North Beach Street?
yeah, it's outside of our CRA. It's not in the CRA.
But the right side is, so this is
Yes.
on the right side.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
It's out
Depends on which way you go.
yes, it's right on the right side.
If you're going north,
Yes.
yes, okay.
All right, have you, Move with your slides.
Yes, Daisy Stocking Park. We were just there this past weekend and had some activities going. What we're proposing to do is allocate additional resources to Daisy Stocking Park so that we can have more of those types of events at that location. We talked to our IT director about providing Wi-Fi to some of our communities that are underserved. And the $50,000 is a generous number, but of course, they believe it's going to cost a whole lot more. But even before we even get to there, we need to bring on a third-party vendor who could tell us if this is something that's financially feasible to do. Even, we know there's a need out there, but should that be our obligation or something that we should take on? But I can tell you in the Midtown community, the residents do talk about providing additional Wi-Fi. So we as staff, we hear it all the time, and that's why it's up on our priority list. Utility box wrap, right now, there's.
Let me ask you a question. So that Wi-Fi access means what? $50,000
It means that we need to hire a third party to tell us how we can provide free Wi-Fi in a particular area. Let's say Midtown. If you want to provide it in the Midtown, you would have to buy the hardware. You would have to buy the, I don't know the terminology for it, but our IT director said you would need to hire a third-party entity to show where those locations will be, those sensors will be throughout the community, access points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so in order to tap in, you got to have those access points there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How do they work? We just freely just roll in and we can have access to it? Just you drive in and you're automatic.
Yeah, well, you have to have some governors on them too, because you can access all kind of information while you're there. And do you want to have them in your parks? So there are some controls that we need to put in place. But as staff, we just want to explore what the possibilities are to provide this Wi-Fi access in the community. So we don't want to say no, and we don't know all of what the options are.
That's a very important answer to have, and one that we should have known by now, and not blaming you. But I mean, I've been in situations with other municipalities where, there were a lot of grants and a lot of government money available for this very cause. And I think we're a little bit on and that's not just.
Yes, I understand.
But it's just us as a city.
Yeah.
So it's just, the why is a good question to have answered, so, okay.
And I agree with that. You know, when we had COVID and our children got
Mm-hmm.
laptops and iPads to do the homework, they didn't have access to Wi-Fi. They couldn't do it. So it definitely needs to be done.
Right.
And then one of our facilities also, I hosted a birthday party at what's on the beach side?
Snavely?
No, the other one, the older one, Peninsula, and we didn't have Wi-Fi in Peninsula. I mean, that's just simple having something in a facility. There was no Wi-Fi, and I meant to mention that. So that's something we need to look at.
We're setting aside $1 million. As I said earlier, we spent over $1,880,000 already on grants to our businesses, and we want to continue to do that to create economic development in our city. Public arts program, our mural program went away with our funding, and we think that's a good idea. Some of the buildings that have been done, they really look nice, and I believe we need to continue that effort throughout. Outdoor events, downtown, DDA, working with Main Street, the Main Street businesses, working with the band shell, creating those outdoor events are just, what some of our folks who visit our community, who are in our community, they want to continue to have those events. And we believe that funding that we set aside is worth every penny. We don't do it ourselves. We provide and we pay for the vendor. We pay for some of the city services, especially the police department. They have to charge to have people there to protect us. So, but that's a major expense for some of these folks who put on these events. The Thurman House improvement, I don't know if you all have gotten out to see the Thurman House, but you really need to get out there and see it. There's a lot of work to be done. If you read up on Howard Thurman, an exceptional man, did a lot for this community, lived in this community. And that is just one house, one particular area that I think we need to put more resources in to help in order so that our visitors, people in the community, will go out to the Thurman House. We need a parking lot out there. There are some improvements that are needed at the house. They're looking at a community garden. There are a host of things that it's going to cost a whole lot more than what we're allocating here. But Thurman House is very important to us.
Utility box wraps, only
Yes,
2,000?
utility box wrap, Commissioner May has been talking about that for quite some time.
Add my name to that list too.
And Commissioner Reed, I skipped. Florida Power and Light only gives you two options. And maybe their options are not consistent with our community. But the city, the Public Works Department, we also have ownership of a lot of those utility boxes that we can spend our money doing whatever design that we choose to do. So we're going to work with Public Works, identify those boxes, and come up with some designs and come back to you all to give us some recommendations on what you think we should do.
I mean, Commissioner Harris was speaking about branding, and I mean, I thought that would be a good way for us to do some sort of branding project without through the different areas, but how long would that take? Because we've been talking about it for a while, so.
Yes, yes. Well, we're here. We're going to work with public.
Present?
Yeah,
Stay present?
yeah. I don't want to speak for Public Works because we need to work with them in order to make this happen. But we'll get back to you, Donna. I'm sorry. Parking garage. I talked about a parking garage. We're waiting on this parking study. I don't know if you all know it or not, but just one parking space in a parking garage will cost you $30,000. And if you have some design and something real different, it'll be $35,000. So if the parking study comes back on the beach side and it says, yes, you need to provide parking, you need to do a parking garage, and if we decide to do one that's 400 spaces, that's at a minimum $12 million. So, but we're waiting patiently for that parking study to come back for Main Street.
Did you
But-
say $30,000 per space?
$30,000 per space. Yes. And I've gotten this from a couple of different sources. One of our property owners on B-side is doing a parking study as well. We're hoping that we get that back so we can take a look at it. And there are some other parking studies that were done by private entities throughout Volusia County. And so that $30,000 number is real.
That probably answers the question. We built a parking garage at Embry-Riddle, and the first year was $600 for the year. It went up to $900 for the year to park in the parking. Give me my shade little thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
Whoa.
they're pretty expensive. We've been talking about a grocery store on Beachside. I mean, we're talking about it, but we want to set aside $500,000 because some of the developers who we've talked about doing mixed-use development, they've also talked about doing a grocery store. So we're just saying if we can get somebody on the hopper, somebody on the line, we want to set aside $500,000 to make that real. And we've been talking, Jeff Brown, who is our economic development director, he's been talking to all of the grocery store providers and trying to get them to look at Daytona Beach. And he tells me all the time about, we need, more high-wage paying individuals because that's what they look at. But we're still going to offer that incentive if we can get somebody who would want to locate a grocery store in our
And Ken, it
community.
doesn't have to be major like a superstore. It could be like a
Nope.
little neighborhood Walmart, as
Yep.
long as they can get the needs, the basic
Right,
needs.
the basic
It doesn't have to be
needs.
all that,
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, because there's nothing in that area
correct.
on ISB or in anywhere close. Hotel development incentives, we're looking at a hotel in downtown area, in Midtown area, as well as on near Main Street area. So we're looking at a hotel development. We're set aside $500,000 for that. not necessarily on Atlantic Avenue, but Halifax River in that area. There are some potential locations for new hotel development. Text amendments for commercial and residential development. I'm working with planning department to look at those areas, ISB in particular, as well as Dr. Bethune Boulevard. We have some incompatible uses. If we want to do more commercial development on Dr. Bethune Boulevard, right now, it would be a no. So we need to change some of the zonings to accommodate that. And that is so true on ISB just as well. Food court, the city manager's been talking about this for quite some time since I've been here. We've got some properties that we own that we could just build the product, meaning put out power and put out lights and use some of our vacant land that we own to do a food court or a food truck near Main Street so that you can have some more amenities, or more food options rather, to offer to folks who are going to the Ocean Center or even in the downtown area too as well. Just on Orange Avenue, we have a vacant lot. We could activate that vacant lot for food truck vendors, and we could offer that every week. But you need to have power, and you need to have lights, you need to be able to activate the site.
Question.
Yes.
What about the land that we bought right there where the tent company was on MMB and ISB, right
Yeah.
behind that little company?
We want to tear that building down, but we got another year on the lease on the signage. We got one more year. We can buy them out, buy that lease out. But if not, we have to. The day that the lease ends is the day that we're going to demo.
Okay.
At the same time, because that would be a great site to have the sort of a food court until we find someone who will be willing to build a hotel and other town center for us. Downtown, a water taxi. We've talked about a water taxi to connect from Halifax River to some of our folks who are visiting on the beach side. We're just exploring that, and there was more to it. Yeah, to connect downtown and Main Street is what the water taxi initiative is. Downtown market, a bodega, city manager has talked about in one area that he knows, it was just a downtown market. Publix has done this in the past. Even I've gone to a small Publix, it probably was 5,000 square feet or less, in downtown Tampa, where you could do something really small and you can offer, just, basic necessities. Doesn't have to be a full-blown supermarket, but we're trying to encourage some property owners in downtown that we would set aside some dollars if they would be willing to create a bodega in the downtown community. Because really that's where it's needed right now, if we could do something in our downtown community. A trolley system, we looked at acquiring a trolley where we could ride people around, pick them up if they're at the hotels on Atlantic, and take them to one place to the next. But I think we're premature at the moment. Some may agree, some may disagree, but for the cost to buy it at $200,000 and to pay to operate it, I'm not quite sure it would be a good return on your investment if we did it. So we're going to wait a few more years and keep exploring it, keep in contact with the hotels, because some of them right now, they have golf carts that they use to take their visitors around on the beach side.
Why didn't the trolley work before when we had it?
Yeah, didn't we have a little
We
red trolley
did.
thing?
Yes. And who ran that? Was it the county?
No. That was us, I think.
It was us?
It was
No.
ours? Oh.
It didn't work.
With Kelly, I thought it was Kelly.
It was the county,
It
because
was like in the early 90s.
we went after trying to get the county's trolley and they got rid of it.
Oh.
I thought Kelly was working on that, Kelly White.
She didn't want it, but she didn't have it.
Yeah. So here are some opportunities what we want you all to consider. I know you all have heard about a Main Street program. We don't have one at the moment, but we were thinking about doing a Main Street program on Main Street on the beach side. And the reason why you have a Main Street program is because they're not redevelopers, they're not economic development people. They exclusively work that street, and they don't go 2 blocks down, they don't go 2 blocks over. They work from one end to the next end, and they don't go outside that envelope. And they work with the business owners, they put on events, and they exclusively work that Main Street. And right now, we're doing our part as redevelopers to try to help increase the businesses in there. But you really, honestly, if you want to have a true Main Street program, you need to create one. And you have to get approved by the state of Florida. And they only do a few a year that I know of. So we would have to apply to have that program. But that's something that we want you all to consider. The Ridgewood Avenue to Belleville Road, I know there's not a whole lot of resources out there at the moment, but our recommendation is that we should expand our downtown boundaries to include Ridgewood all the way to Belleville Road, up to Mason, take Mason, go to Clyde Morris. We have to identify those areas that you may not see a lot of improvements over the next several years, but it's a priority for us. And we need to set aside incrementally resources to tackle that, because Ridgewood is going nowhere. It's there. It's a major artery, and we see that it has a lot of potential, but we need some resources in order to improve the area. There are properties that we need to acquire. There are some on Beachside. I won't give you an address, but if you see that picture, you know where that property is located. And so there are other areas on the Beachside and downtown that we're looking at. And if we get a willing seller, we'll bring it to you, because our job, just so that you know, we look for blighted properties. We don't write, if it looks good, it's nice, and it's glamorous, that's not what we see. We see the blight, and that's what we narrow in on. And so as our job as redevelopers, it sounds, sort of boring, but that's what we look for, is blight. So there's a number of those blighted properties that we want to enhance. The pier improvements, we've talked to Public Works about improving that pier. That pier, to improve it, talked to David Wallace, probably a $20 million investment. But I think we need to start now allocating funding for that pier. So as Beachside CRA, we believe that that's an opportunity for us. And the boardwalk extension, as I said, going from Breakers Park down to Harvey, is about a $4 million expense. And we already have funding available that we can only spend on public improvements now. It's just about, I believe, about just over $2 million, if I'm not mistaken, $2.5 million. So we have some money already to make that extension. So we want to bring that to your attention so that we can consider doing it. Any questions? And I'm sorry that I ran through it, but it's a Monday and it's a workshop.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, we'll move on to commission discussion. Commissioner Paris.
Thank you, Ken, for everything. Thank you, ladies, too, for everything that you guys do. I'm curious about the street sidewalk team. What does that entail, and what are their jobs, and how soon can that start?
We would have to put out a request for proposal, of course.
Can you explain what it is a little bit?
Oh, the street team, the sidewalk team, would be individuals that we hire, and we give them assignments to pick ISB or to go down Ridgewood, or to go up to Mason, and pick up trash. Right now, our Public Works Department, I see them out, they're picking up trash now. They're doing a really good job. They're down, Dr. Bethune Boulevard. I've seen them down, MLK. But when you have, private property owners, who hadn't cut the grass, we gotta, utilize our code enforcement, and maybe 6 months down the road before the grass is cut. So this streets team could go in there and cut the grass with the help with our, being our legal team. But I know I've worked in other cities where we've cut the grass and we've put the liens on the property and we've charged them for it. So they could do a number of things of keeping our streets clean. That is really one of the most important part of a street team, is to keep our streets clean, pick up the trash on the sidewalk, alert us when there are problems in the community.
Okay, because I would be for beachside redevelopment areas to get this implemented as soon as possible, if anybody else is interested in that, right?
Well, I
For
just wanted to
priorities.
say, we had somebody that
Exactly.
did this, but we weren't paying them. And maybe that's why we need to move forward with
This will
something
be
that's,
funded
yes,
We had a-
yes,
by our
I'm for that.
CRAs, to fund a small team to pick up trash on the beach side, making sure the sidewalks are clean. Walking, we can even choose some streets in the neighborhood to go down the street where we got sidewalks, picking up trash. I've seen them with weed eaters. They paint the sidewalks, they paint the bumpers. There's a number of things that we can do to help our public rights of ways stay clean.
My two priorities would be any kind of infrastructure, so underground power lines and also cleaning.
Okay.
Basic. Thank you.
I like the beautification of, or improvement of the Ridgewood corridor a lot. Because that goes across multiple zones.
The extension or expansion you're talking about?
Just cleaning it,
Just cleaning it?
just getting rid of the beautification part of it. I mean, I like the expansion also, just to
I
get
like
the extra
extension
dollars.
also, right.
Mhm.
Me too.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Okay.
So yes, sir.
We had a street team at one time, and I think they were the homeless people from down there they don't have homeless people down there anymore, Salvation
good.
Army.
That's good.
I don't know where they came from, but they were.
That's where they were coming out of the Salvation Army, and they lived down there, and they could just walk everywhere. There was no need to provide them with transportation or anything. They walked all over town.
Yeah.
That hadn't been that long ago.
No, I mentioned it, but you may have been talking or something and said that it would be nice to have this. These are people that are strategic.
Thanks, Paula. I've been sitting over here quiet. I hadn't said a word
But maybe
just
people
now. I
were
wasn't
talking around
talking.
you, you couldn't hear me when I mentioned that, but y'all, I did mention.
She's making fun of me.
No,
I
she's
need
not.
hearing aids.
Oh, you got the hearing aids?
No, I'm getting them. Just mind your business.
But this is more proactive,
Yes.
rather than just hoping that homeless people catch it. It's us taking an initiative to keep our city clean. I like it.
Well, the direction of my city manager will certainly look at creating that street team. We'll have to decide how many. Because we got 3 different CRAs, and we can look at all of our CRAs.
I wanted to ask the chief over there, I think he's still over there.
He is.
Don't be surprised by the question. Do the sheriff's department still do the work details? Or you all don't do that anymore with Andy and you all?
I think the branch jail
Correct.
has a work group that can go out, because they were gonna help us with that other project we talked about. It didn't work out, but I know they
He
do
wants to
that.
have them too.
Yeah, the sheriff's doesn't, but he is correct. And actually, I had them, and they still do, actually. There's a grave site over there off Old Big Tree, and we were trying to keep up with it, and now they come in and maintain it. They've been doing it for 3 years and doing a great job.
Is that an old African American?
Yes.
Okay, I've been there before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, Terry,
I went out there
Yeah,
to
I
bury
found-
somebody, but I can't remember
I
who.
found it, yeah, but and it's actually a lot of veterans
Yeah.
over there. But we tried to keep up for a long time, and then, the owner of Big Tree Barber, he was paying someone too. So when Billy Willer was on there,
Mhm.
I went to her and we finally got someone from the county that actually keeps up with it.
If they're still accessible, that could be more hands for the
Right.
street crew.
And then people that have community hours, they
Mhm.
need to do.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry, our two options would be either an RFP or to either do this work detail with the sheriff's office
No,
to
we're
see
saying
if.
add the work detail to the RFP, more hands on the ground. They can get to more CRAs. 'Cause
Would we
they're
have
free.
to-
The work detail is free.
That's what I was asking. Do
Yeah.
we need
No,
an
it's not
RFP?
free.
It's not free?
It's
No.
not free.
No, none of those are free, so there will be associated costs with it
With
that
them
they
as
will have
well.
to bring back
So we
to
can
you.
find out
Yeah.
what those two items would cost us. Okay.
Oh, you might want to check for people that have to do community hours that are on probation, because
Yeah.
that would be free.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have.
okay.
But the key thing is for us to try to create funding to make sure we do this all the time and not to be dependent on other groups.
Correct.
That's the key.
Correct.
Anyone else?
Well, are we just talking in general about the list, or, I mean, because all of it requires action. You're not asking us to prioritize anything, are you?
No.
Or are you?
No.
Okay.
Should we?
You're just letting us know what you're planning on working on?
Mhm.
Okay.
Things that we're doing.
Now, you mentioned some things were going to take several years. So which things do you think could potentially take place in the next 6 months?
It's a good question. All of the activities, of course, the outdoor activities, those will take place right away. Like the Thurman House, that was one that would require, to require us to do hire some folks to assist. Food court, we could look at a design site plan in some of our areas. The Orange Avenue property, we could do a site plan and start, looking at.
Question, where's this
cost.
Orange Avenue property?
It is between Ripple, I think it's Ripple and, is it?
It's the green
Stavros.
space.
Ripple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's vacant in there.
Mhm.
There was a fire in a building we tore down years ago, but it's vacant, we own it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the first step. That's what costs the most, getting the land.
yeah, and it's there. We've had a few people who've had inquiries that they wanted to buy it or do something there, but nothing ever materialized.
Okay.
But there are some other projects that, we would, be able to do within the next 6 months.
I like that question. Maybe that's where we go from here, is come back and let us know what we could potentially do in the next 6 months. Because we can't eat the whole elephant at one time. We gotta eat one bite at a time, right?
Right.
So let that be the initial nibbles.
Yeah. And you could do short, mid, long, so we kind of know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, yeah.
For the next CRA meeting, can you have it broken down for us by each different CRA and
Yeah.
priority list, and that what we could get done in a
Yeah,
time frame?
Yeah, yeah.
And how much maybe
Be-
approximate
Because
cost?
honestly, all of these things that up on the board, it's 34 of them. It's all in our work plan already.
Okay.
We're working on them already. In addition to everything else that we're doing.
So, Ken, I just want to let you know that me and Letitia, so your next, when you say yes to this, that means that the next CRA meeting, which is next
23rd.
It's the 22nd, yeah.
22nd, you're going to have a list. Is that what you're saying? That's because you're saying yes.
No, they're saying no. We can, if February, we'll have a list.
Okay.
Yeah, because she'll be looking for it. She said, "You said
February.
it's the next meeting."
Thank you for that, Mr. City Manager.
Yeah, I'm just like, because
But
Letitia's
we'll
going to say, she's
have-
going to say Friday, you
but
need to
we'll
give her a
have more
Sunday.
I know, I'm like, I need it
context
by
to
Friday.
it, so, yeah, it won't be just, moving
Yeah, don't hurt
projects
yourself.
around.
Do you,
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Because
we have
Letitia's
a-
going to want this Friday.
we'll have it ready for Commissioner Parrish.
do we have a list already broken down of, because in this, I didn't see anything, what we've bought, what we've done, what
Yes,
year,
ma'am.
what month. There's like nothing in here.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe in the last 5 years in the CRA, do we have?
Yeah, we have.
I know, but there's not actually the year when it was done or anything like that. in the-
Yeah, we didn't put the year, but we put some projects that we completed, and it was consistent with the plan.
And
But
then-
we didn't put the year
Right,
when it
and
was
when
done.
it was done or
Yeah,
anything.
right.
Could
yeah.
you, when you do the update, because it's the accomplishment priority, so I'm looking, could you actually put a
The
year
year that it was done, yes, sir.
and just update that back up?
Commissioner Cantu, in regards to that, I was wondering, can Fred give us like a breakdown of all the expenditures from the CRA? What went out, so that we could see what was done in the last 5 years?
5 years,
Yeah,
right.
he probably could pull it up.
Can we have that also for February?
Fred's not here, and Natalia, they're talking. I know what they're saying, they're talking, but I would, they were over there calculating stuff. So Ken, you'll get with Fred to try to figure out over the next 5 years, the
Previous 5
expenditures
years.
that came out the previous 5 years, so that could be a part of your report also for the February meeting, because
For
if
the
not,
February meeting.
she'll be wanting it Friday.
Yeah, it's because that's what residents say, well, we don't know what we've spent, and so I think it would help.
Yeah, that one blue
And we,
comment.
we have to do these annual
blue
reports
roll,
every
yeah.
year.
And he didn't
And in
show
these
up.
annual reports, it tells the general public what we're spending our money on.
And
Every year.
thing. So that would be something,
Yeah.
just give us an annual report.
It's the annual report. We have to do it every year.
I think they're posted on our website.
It's posted on the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I think like 2024, it was for 22 or for 23 or 23?
23. Yeah, 24 is due in March.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's something to do with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a public
Right.
meeting, no.
Sir, sir, sir.
Did anybody else have anything they want to?
I like what we've asked for thus far, I think that's enough.
Pretty thorough.
We're asking for that next
Pretty
month.
thorough.
Don't hurt 'em.
Ken, you're good?
Yeah, he's got to go.
Oh, okay. Thank you, everybody.
I think you did an
Meeting
excellent job.
adjourned.
I love it. And
Thanks.
looking time.